Now I want to talk about the biggest problem with the Eagles defense, and I don't think it's the cornerback play. See, I think that playing cornerback for Jim Schwartz is one of the toughest jobs in the NFL, and here's why. If you look at coverage shells on a basic level, there are two coverage shells that you can utilize in the NFL. You can use a single high safety look or a split safety look. Now the Eagles right here are showing a split safety look. What that means is you have two safeties deep in the middle of the field, and you have cornerbacks on the outside. Now out of this coverage, you can play cover two zone, where your safeties are going to bail into deep zones, deep halves, and your corners are playing flat zones with help over the top. You can play cover two man, where you're playing man coverage and you have safety help over the top. Or you can play cover four, where the field is divided into quarters. And there's various rules for how to man match out of that, but essentially each of these defensive backs is responsible for a quarter of the field. The problem with split safety is that it takes a man out of the box. And so what the Eagles instead prefer to run is a single high safety look. Now this is a single high safety look. In a single high safety look, you have one safety deep in the middle of the field, and you have another safety in the box. The reason this is advantageous is because it gives you a +1 count in the box. You can put an extra person in the box, and so at the snap of the ball, this safety is responsible for this flat. This corner is responsible for a third of the field in deep coverage. This corner is responsible for a third of the field in deep coverage. And then you have a linebacker responsible for this flat. And so it's helpful because you get an extra man in the box. And so the Eagles like to play cover three to go +1 in the box and stop the run play. The problem comes from the fact that their linebackers are so overly aggressive against play action that it opens up all kinds of space for the offense to operate, and we're going to see that in just a minute. But the other problem is that now you have cornerbacks on an island. Remember, in cover two, they have help over the top. In cover three, this guy is responsible for anything outside the hash. This guy is responsible for anything outside the hash, and the safety is covering the middle of the field. What that means is if this receiver runs an out route, it's the corner's responsibility. If this receiver runs a streak, it's his responsibility. If he runs a comeback, it's his responsibility. And so when you have corners that are susceptible to double moves, it's a problem to have them in cover three because they'll bite on the out and then the receiver's gone. So if you put them in a split safety look, they get help over the top. But beyond that, let's watch what happens at the snap of the ball. Now at the snap of the ball, they're going to run a play action pass. This receiver is going to come across to threaten the flat. This tight end is going to run a corner route. And this this receiver is going to run a post route. Now what you're going to see at the snap of the ball is that this guy is responsible for this guy. So he's going to come across and he's going to track him in man coverage. These two linebackers are your middle of the field zone responsibilities, and at the snap, they are going to bite hard on this play action flowing to the ball, and it's going to open up a massive gap in the middle of the field in the zones they've vacated, and we'll see what happens. So the ball is snapped, boom, just like we said, the linebackers both came up. What that means now is that this cornerback is responsible for this receiver who's coming across the middle of the field, so out of his assignment. This safety has to stay back, and look at all this open space for this route to develop. And it's an easy catch and throw. Easy. That's the easiest throw you can get in the NFL. And so if we go back and watch it again from the other view, you're going to see once again, these two linebackers, at the snap of the ball, they're flowing hard, sell out to stop this run. Rodney McLeod, the safety, is going to be tracking across the line with this receiver, but it's going to vacate the entire middle of the field. So there you see it again. There is no linebacker in the middle of the field where there should be two linebackers. The corner falls down, easy completion. If the Eagles want to make the best of the talent they have on the field, Jim Schwartz has to abandon the single high safety look. Stop worrying about being +1 in the box. Or we have to coach the linebackers up to stop biting so hard on play action because it leaves the middle of the field wide open.